The link between nature and people, nature and society, nature and economies is tremendously important for us. Because if we want to see sustainable development going forward that's prolonged, that's consistent, that's persistent, it really depends on taking care of the stocks and flows of nature and natural capital that our countries, economies, and our people depend on.
So, for us, investing in natural capital is not really a choice, but it's an imperative for many of the development goals that we stand for.
The People, Planet, and Prosperity project that the NatCap has been doing for the last year and a half is really aimed at addressing crises that we're seeing around the world. The core of the 3Ps project is with 16 countries in the Latin America Caribbean region, the Asia Pacific region, and in Africa. And the multilateral development banks, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Asian Development Bank, and the World Bank are working really closely with this bigger team. So the idea is the countries have the innovation, they have the vision for where they want to go, and the policy decisions or the financial instruments that they need right now to incorporate nature's values into their specific decisions. And then the role of the development banks is to help learn and understand what are the country's needs for nature positive finance and help scale through their guidance and their lending processes.
So the Biodiversity, Ecosystems, and Landscape Assessment Initiative was a collaborative effort between the Natural Capital Project and the World Bank. One of the unique things about it is that we not only worked with people kind of at the science and advisory level, sort of upstream where people start thinking about what are the development projects that these countries want to invest in, but also taking that all the way to the level of designing a project, designing an intervention. We did learn quite a lot through working with the Bella Project and the World Bank, and NatCap is now incorporating learnings from 6 of the Bella countries into the 3Ps project.
One really important part of NatCap's approach is to make sure that the stewards of healthy ecosystems, who are often farmers, ranchers, and local and indigenous communities, are crucial players in driving nature-positive development. The 3Ps project includes efforts to develop innovative compensation mechanisms to recognize and reward this. So we work a lot with participatory mapping of really diverse stakeholders, including indigenous peoples, as well as technical experts from governments and civil society, and then remote sensing. So we have lots of different sources of information.
As a development bank, we want to see climate smart, nature positive development. So this project that's funded by the GEF, in which we're working with NatCap, to me is tremendously exciting, because what we're doing is bringing actors that in the past would have been outside the regular realm of this discussion, where people would be talking only to ministries of environment. We're bringing the ministers of finance, we're bringing the ministers of planning, the ministries to this project.
So for example, in Chile, this Innovative Natural Capital Committee is really working across sectors in the government for forestry and water and biodiversity policies to integrate those policies into spatial zoning, water planning, and forest practices.
El Comité de Capital Natural está compuesto por ministerios que son muy transversales y sectoriales, como el Ministerio de Hacienda, el Ministerio de Economía, el Ministerio de Medio Ambiente, pero entendemos que los procesos de valoración económica tienen que considerar cuál es el valor de la naturaleza para las comunidades locales y no solamente para quienes estamos tomando decisiones en el centro. En la mesa estamos sentados ministerios que tienen distintas especialidades, ecólogos, y hablar un lenguaje que junte la biodiversidad y la economía ha sido el primer desafío. Priorizamos el sector agua, biodiversidad y forestal. Así que se eligió la cuenca del Río Bueno, que es una cuenca hermosa del sur de Chile, en la región de Valdivia, y desde ahí ya hemos logrado tener una visita del equipo de NatCap hacia allá, en donde tuvimos conversaciones con los usuarios y beneficiarios, con los que implementan políticas públicas y también con los que generan información.
we're really seeing the momentum of how these worlds are coming together to make sure that we're making better decisions that take into account the value of nature for people, for ecosystems, for climate, and for economies. We can show how those benefits will accrue to multiple national plans and objectives, which is a bit revolutionary in the way that policymakers make decisions.
And today, all the countries are very positive about the impact that it would bring them. So this is one common bright spot.
Այս առումով այս ծրագիրը, որը վարվում է Ասիական զարգացման բանկի եւ Ստենֆորդ ինստիտուտի հետ միասին, նպաստում է նրան, որ առաջին անգամ գրեթե մեր այս մշակվող իրավական ակտերում առաջին անգամ տեղ է գտնում մի բաղադրիչ, որը էական կարևորություն ունի եւ կարող է լիարժեքորեն պատկերացում եւ հեռանկար տալ մեզ պահպանվող տարածքների եւ ջրային էկոհամակարգերի կապերի մասին.
What I think is wonderful about this vision we're all working towards together is that instead of thinking of human development is occurring at the expense of nature, nature is actually going to be foundational and supporting prosperity into the future.